behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Paul Mash TV. Paul Mash TV.
Well, hello everybody. It's Paul Mash TV time once again. Thank you so much for joining us. We got another great interview coming up your way in just a couple moments. But before that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell, and you're always going to get the latest interviews whenever available. And we have a comment section, of course. Leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Paul Mash TV, which is our official page. And feel free to like the page, inboxes, comment on the things you see there. And if you want to email us, you can. It's paulmashtv, all one word, at gmail.com. And you can write to us if you're a band or solo artist that want to be on the show, and we'll show you how to do it. But we also accept fan mail as well. So if you're a fan, go ahead and send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. And all this is going to be recapped at the closing credits at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. From Melbourne, Australia, we got Steve Lucas on the show, a very talented artist, and I know you're really going to love hearing him and the song we got after. And we'll get to that in just a second, but first, here's Click Jam, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
We got history, got me feeling the nostalgia when you look at me, thinking about what could.
Okay, and let's get to the interview. Here it is from Melbourne, Australia. We have Steve Lucas. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we were having a little bit of sound issues earlier, so it took us a while to do this, but we're here now.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the question I like to ask everybody, because everyone has their own story, tell us a little bit about how it all began for you as being an artist. I mean, I'm sure you got a great story on that.
I was, well, myself and a couple of friends from school used to aspire to being in a band, and we used to rehearse in a church hall in Balmain in New South Wales in Sydney. And we were looking for a bass player, and one of the drummers that used to sit in said, I know a bass player who would be great. And that was Ian Ryland. So he came into a rehearsal and it was shambolic, and I didn't think it would work. So I said I wasn't interested. There were actually two guitar players then. I was just singing. The drummer and one of the guitar players paired up, and the guitar player and Ian Ryland paired up. They were both called Ian Crane, Ian Ryland. And I went back to live in the country, and then a few months later I got a telegram saying, found a drummer, bring voice. So I went back down to Sydney, had a rehearsal, and it was magic, just brilliant. The new drummer made such a huge difference. Having only one guitar made a huge difference. 3 weeks later we were gigging, and that was it. We never looked back. Well, I'm not saying we never looked back. It was a year and a half later, my friend from school had died, and then we became a three-piece and remained that way pretty much forever.
Okay, well, that's a great story there, Steve.
It's in a nutshell.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're doing it. I guess you're still doing it. Hopefully you'll be around for a few more years doing it. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah, I have no plans to shuffle off the planet, no, not in the immediate future.
Okay. Well, what bands in the in the popular bands did you look up to when you were growing up? The mainstream bands.
That would be like the bands that were like 3 or 4 to 10 years older than I was. So back then there were people like Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs. There were a lot of bands. And of course, AC/DC was starting up around about the time X started up. They were great. But yeah, the older bands like Masters Apprentices were really good. Chain, Black Feather. We had some great bands in the 60s that I used to listen to on the radio. And yeah, by the time I was playing, then it was bands like the Saints, Angels, AC/DC, and really good rocking bands, really good.
Yeah, and of
Too
course,
many to list. The Church was great. Yeah, fantastic.
yeah, exactly. And AC/DC is a really awesome Australian band, and I like some of their songs. I mean, of course, really, I like a lot of them, but some are probably more popular than others, obviously. But
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the post Bon Scott AC/DC. I mean, the songs were pretty much the same, but Bon Scott was such a personality. Yeah, it's some people you can't replace, but I understand. Well, you got to carry. If you love the music and you're doing what you want to do, you will carry on regardless. Like after Ian Cray died next, we stayed together in a lot of ways, just out of respect to sort of promote the stuff that he was a part of creating. Then the original drummer died. Everyone died in the end except for me from the original lineup. So I try and keep the music circulating, but I don't do that many live gigs because it's, I can get great players, but it's not the same. If you weren't in the room when the song was written, no matter how many times you listen to a record or how many times you might rehearse it, it's coming from a different place because it's coming from a different person. And as good as it is, it's just not the same. And I can do it for a while, but then I start missing everyone else too much. And so then I'll put it aside, but try to remember, last year I was hoping to do a 40th anniversary tour for the album X Aspirations, but then the COVID thing hit and we've been locked down ever since. So gigs that I was going to do in October 2019, we got pushed back to 2020, and now they're being pushed into 21, or they've got pushed back into 21. Now looking at 22. So it's really hard to do anything. But I did a reissue on vinyl, cleaned out. It flew out the door. People still love the record. So I try to keep things like that going, rather than the idea of touring. I was offered to go to Europe and America this year, but the COVID thing happened, and everyone's locked down and no one can go anywhere, and getting in and out of countries is a nightmare, and that's it. So everything's on hold like that, but still making music. Yeah.
all right. Well, tell us a little bit about how we can get your music. I mean, I'm sure you have physical copies still, but if it's all streaming, you can let us know that as well.
There's a digital label over here called Laneway Music, and they have pretty much everything that I was ever involved with online. I've got a Bandcamp page that I sell bits and pieces from, vinyl, not many CDs, but I love vinyl. So I make my own little label, and I just reissue stuff from the past to keep it alive, because I used to license it to record companies and stuff like that, but I found it's just as easy to do a pressing here, where I've got total control over the quality of the sound and artwork, and then just do mail order stuff. It's like a little cottage industry, which is bizarre for an old punk, but that's what I do.
Okay. Well, I'm sure everybody would love to get your music. So you're saying Bandcamp for the most part?
Yeah. Well, it's streamed on various platforms, like everyone else is. But if you wanted to buy like a physical product, you'd be better off coming to the Steve Lucas Bandcamp page, or Steve Lucas X, whatever I've called it. I can't remember now. But there's lots of stuff there. I've been playing for 40 plus years, so. Yeah, it'd be pretty sad if I had nothing to put up for sale or consumption, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody goes to those streaming platforms and Bandcamp and so forth. I know he would love for you to get some of his music there. And I guess we're about getting ready to play a music video, and I guess this was when you were part of a band called Bigger Than Jesus, and it's called Wicked Love.
Yeah.
Why Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was going to say it was one of the most recent things that we did, but that was a couple of years ago now too, because we managed to get the clips done in a couple of shows before COVID hit. It was Bigger Than Jesus was banned in the 90s. That did very well in Melbourne and stuff like that. And then we broke up, and then we decided to get back together and rebirth it. But then COVID hit. But we did manage to make Wicked Love film clip, and my wife has a cameo. She's the gorgeous woman dancing in it. I always get a thrill out of seeing the missus on TV or on a screen. Yeah.
Well, is there kind of a story behind that song? Or is it pretty much self-explanatory? Or?
It's pretty much self-explanatory. Yeah, it's a little story that really starts nowhere and goes nowhere, but it's still a journey. You know, you walk into town, you know, and then you walk out of town, basically. So, and a lot of music happens in between. But you've heard it now, haven't you? So it's pretty full on.
Okay, well, we're getting ready to watch that, as I said, in just a moment. But before we get into that, I think that's about all the time we have for right now, Steve. We thank you so much for coming on the show. If you want to come back a second time, maybe we'll work it out and you can come back on again sometime.
I would love to do it again, but without all the hassles from my end before it all started. I'll get it all sorted.
Okay, well, here's Wicked Love by Steve Lucas right here on Paul Mash TV, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Doing the bars in a stolen car. You got the blind crazies and a broken heart, and no one to let go. Well, come on, let's go. Out of my life and out of my dreams and into my arms. I need you in my arms. I got a feeling, honey. I got a feeling, honey, yeah. Blood running in my veins. Oh, I can't let go. I got a wicked love. I can't let go. No, I got a wicked love. Oh yeah, I got a wicked love. I said, baby, it's a wicked love. Oh well, baby, time will heal the scars, but while I'm waiting for that, leave it to my lover's arms. I need to let go. Well, come on, let's go. Out of my mind and out of my dreams, in my arms and in my arms. Because I'm feeling horny, and I need it, honey, yeah. Blood pumping in my veins. So, I need to let go. I got a wicked love. I can't let go, no. I got a wicked love. That's a wicked love. I said, baby, what a wicked love. Yeah, wicked. Baby, time will heal the scars. I'm running for that leap into my lover's arms. I have to let go. Yeah, I gotta let go. Out of my mind, out of my dreams, and into my